Hello! So with Ryan's Things About Doctor Who launching last week, I thought it'd be quite cool to go through and try and pick out my favourite Doctor Who episodes. So I thought I'd go for a top 10, but then I thought no, that would make the video far too long, so I thought right, scrap that, let's go for a top 5. And then I realised how hard it was to narrow it down to 5, so I've just gone for a top 7 and I'm leaving it there. I should point out that all these episodes will be from the new series, so from Christopher Eccleston onwards, just because I haven't seen hardly any of the older series. These aren't in any particular order, so here we go. So, first one I'll talk about is Midnight. The reason I chose Midnight is because it was actually the episode that got me into Doctor Who in the first place. I actually really disliked Doctor Who for a long time. I always used to see snippets of it on the telly and think, God, that just looks rubbish. I really didn't like it and I didn't understand why people loved it so much. But then one day, this episode was on. I thought, you know what, let's just sit and watch it. I had nothing better to do and I fell in love with it. I thought it was so well written. I really like how the whole thing is set in one place. I like how creepy the monster is, that if it is a monster, you don't know what it is. The fact that it's all in that one place and, the people in it are sort of trying to decide, has the Doctor been possessed by the monster or is it someone else? And you're sort of going back and forth and trying to figure it out yourself, and the whole episode is spent sort of trying to understand what's going on, and it leaves you quite tense, and the whole episode you're sort of sitting there like, but what's going on and what is it, and trying to work it out yourself. It's just a great episode. Okay, so number 2, Mummy on the Orient Express. Quite a similar reasoning behind this one really. It's how clever the idea was and how, again, it's all in that same one place. The fact that the Doctor and all the people on the train, the research lab or whatever it ended up being, they've got to work out what the monster is, how it's killing people and how they can stop it. It just makes the whole thing such a good fast pace that I was really into. The monster design is really important to me. Whether I sort of love an episode or not is often based on how good the monster is in it, and I thought this was a particularly good one. The fact that the Doctor, had 66 seconds at a time to figure out why the monster was killing or how the monster was killing, and that was it, and then he was gone. In this episode I particularly like how we see the 12th Doctor being so heartless, just because I like that that's a theme of his, and you see a lot of that in that episode. Okay, a third one on my list is one that I think is a lot of people's probably favourite actually. It's Blink. Blink was a great episode. Again, it has an interesting idea behind it. The fact that the Doctor's not actually in it that much really is interesting. Also, the Weeping Angels are easily one of my favourite monsters in Doctor Who. I love how absolutely terrifying they are. The episode in particular, I really like how Sally Sparrow sees the videos and has to watch that and sort of react to it, and how she's talking to the Doctor but it's all happened in the past and it's all the timey-wimey stuff going on. It's just, I like it when an episode sort of makes you think and you're having to sort of think to yourself, right, so how's this happening, what's going on here? Also, I really like the end of this episode. It's like he's speaking to the viewer, so as you're watching it, it's like you're watching the video, like how Sally was watching videos. It shows you statues in our world, our real life world, and I love how chilling that is, how it makes you think, even though it's only for that split second and after that you realise how silly you're being, but I think there is a part of your brain that thinks, what if the statues do that? So, next one, Closing Time. The reason I love this one so much is just because how funny it is. The relationship between Eleven and Craig, played by James Corden, is just fantastic. The monster in the episode was the Cybermen, so that part of it I felt was a bit of a letdown for me personally, just because I don't like them very much. But apart from that, it was great. The fact that the Doctor can speak baby, the fact that the baby is called Stormageddon, how the Doctor sort of knows what the baby thinks about Craig, and just that whole relationship that's going on there is just so funny. The fact that that was part of his sort of like, he was saying goodbye to everyone because he knew he was going to die. So that episode was part of a very sad time, but it was a very happy episode. So the fifth one is The Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special. The plot was incredible. I loved how you saw the Doctor finally sort of start to understand why he's made decisions that he's made. It's a very important episode in sort of the history of the Doctor, but again, the reason I love it so much is just the comedy in it. It's just so funny. When all the Doctors are together, every time I see it, I find myself laughing my head off, and there's not many things that can make me laugh after seeing it loads of times. Number 6 is technically 2 episodes, so I've sort of done a top 8. It's one of those where it's like a 2-parter, so it counts as one. So yeah, it's The Impossible Planet crossed with the Satan bit, those 2 episodes. The main thing is just the fact that you see the Ood. I have a very deep love for the Ood. When I first saw them, I wanted one. Maybe not when they get possessed by Satan, because they're not quite as nice then. But when they're not possessed by Satan, they're just wonderful. A particular Ood moment that I really like is when their communication systems are starting to get possessed and they're going wrong. So as the Ood is talking, he says, "We must feed. We must feed." And you're thinking, whoa. And then he goes, "We must feed you if you are hungry." And I think that's the right words. I might have got some of that wrong, I don't know. Aside from that, I liked how tense the episode was, and I also really liked the monster. And again, it's not Daleks and Cybermen again, it's something new. The idea of the devil or Satan or whatever you want to call it it's something that even if you're not religious, you still know about it. So you either believe in it or you know about it and you sort of accept that it's part of the world in a way. And I found it really scary. There was a bit in it where he's communicating, saying, he was like, "You may know him as Abaddon, you may know him as Satan," and that bit I was like, whoa, you know, because you sort of feel his power. Okay, and so I'm finally on the last one. My final favourite episode is The Angels Take Manhattan. The many feels of this episode. 11 is my favourite Doctor, and Amy and Rory with him was my favourite time. I loved those 3 together. I love any episode with the angels in, pretty much, so that helps. I really love the idea of how he's got the book and he's reading from it, and like the end will tell him what's about to happen, but he doesn't want to read it. And then as the episode goes on, the actions that they take and things that happen right at the end of the book, but obviously in the time that he has the book, it's already been written, but you see how the book gets written. It's just yet another well-written one. The Amy Rory love is amazing, you know, when Amy's so passionate about not wanting to live without Rory, and how sad the Doctor is when their names appear on the tombstone. Look, I'm choking up. Did you hear that? My voice is going, oh. If you've seen my Ryan Sings About Doctor Who, I think one of the lines in the song is something like, "Forget the angels, because where we're going, we're going to be alright." And that was a direct reference to this episode. It's like my favourite monster sort of ends my favourite characters, which is a great thing and an awful thing at the same time. Yeah, I love it. Nothing more I can say about it, really. Okay, so I hope that was quite interesting. Maybe you think the same, maybe you think completely different, I don't know. If you guys want to leave comments below with your top 10 or 5 or 7 or whatever you want to do, that'd be great. If you haven't seen Ryan Sings About Doctor Who, then make sure to go and watch it. Also, I made a behind the scenes video where you see how the video is made, some outtakes where you get to see me fail at acting, and you can also enter a Doctor Who themed competition to win a CD and a poster, so make sure to go and check those out. That's it from me, so I shall see you in the next one.